All right, so, yeah. Today we're going deep. Really deep. Dark territory.
Oh, yeah.
Pedro Alonso López. Ever heard of him?
Can't say that I have.
Monster of the Andes.
Oh, boy. That sounds ominous.
It is. Serial killer. We're using his Wikipedia page, mainly. It's a lot.
I can imagine.
Important to say right off the bat, we're not, like, glorifying anything here. Just trying to, figure out how someone gets to this point, how someone becomes capable of this.
Right. The how, not the celebration of.
Exactly. The why, the how, not the, yeah.
It's always a chilling question, isn't it? What creates a monster?
That's what we're looking at today. And with López, it seems like, well, a lot of it tracks back to his early life.
The foundation, so to speak.
Yeah. Born 1948, Colombia, 7th of 13 kids.
13. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of mouths to feed.
And his father was murdered before he was even born.
Oh, wow. Talk about starting life at a disadvantage.
Right. And his mother, she worked as a laundry worker.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep everyone, afloat. López claims she was a prostitute, too.
Whether or not that's true, the fact that he said it.
Yeah.
That says something about his perception of her, his childhood.
Yeah. A lot of instability there. A lot of potential for things to go wrong. And they did.
How so?
He was kicked out. 8 years old.
8? What for?
Tried to molest his sister.
Oh, my God. That young?
Yeah.
That's a massive red flag. I mean, at 8 years old.
Huge. So out on the streets of Bogota, 8 years old.
That's a recipe for disaster. A child that age, alone, vulnerable.
He was sexually abused multiple times, the Wikipedia entry says. It's tough to read, honestly.
Makes you wonder, at what point does the victim become the perpetrator?
Yeah.
The terrible cycle.
He was adopted, briefly, by an American family.
A chance for a fresh start?
You'd think. But then assaulted by a teacher.
Oh, come on. Are you kidding? It's like every opportunity, every chance for something.
Yes.
Just gone.
Gone, exactly.
Just horrific. So back to the streets.
Basically. Ended up in a gang, more violence. And then, at 12,
12.
car theft, prison.
Oh, no, from the frying pan into the fire.
You could say that. He's 12, right, in prison. And he's assaulted again by 3 inmates.
Oh, God. It never ends.
This time, he fights back, kills them, all 3.
He killed them at 12.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand self-defense, but 3, that seems excessive.
Yeah, that's maybe where it starts. The monster.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What happens in a mind like that? To go from victim to something else entirely? So, like, all this builds up.
Yeah, like a pressure cooker.
Exactly. All that rage, all that trauma, and then, boom, he gets out. 1978.
And that's when the real nightmare begins.
He didn't just, stop.
No.
Yeah.
He escalated big time, starts killing across South America.
Oh, man. This is where it gets really disturbing.
His victims, mostly young girls, often indigenous.
That's a pattern. Preying on the vulnerable, like he was preyed upon.
Exactly. A horrific reenactment of his own trauma.
He claimed, get this, he claimed he killed over 100 girls before even getting to Ecuador.
100 before Ecuador. That's almost impossible to fathom, the sheer scale.
I know. And think about it. These remote areas, marginalized communities, their disappearances, less likely to be investigated.
Right. Less likely to be noticed. Less likely to matter to the authorities, anyway.
It let him operate in the shadows.
Yeah.
For way too long.
He got away with it for so long because who was looking?
There's this one incident. Captured by an indigenous tribe in Peru.
Captured? What happened?
He tried to kidnap a 9-year-old girl.
Oh, God.
They caught him. And they were going to bury him alive.
Bury him alive. Wow. That's intense.
Shows you the terror he inspired.
Right.
The sense of justice in that community. They knew what he was.
They knew the danger he posed. Better than anyone, probably.
An American missionary intervened. Convinced them to hand him over to the police.
Oh, no. That's not how you'd think that would go.
They deported him. They what? Deported him? They didn't.
Arrest him.
Nope.
Yeah.
Sent him on his way.
Are you serious? That's unbelievable. A missed opportunity. A huge one.
Huge. So many lives could have been saved.
So he just keeps going.
Keeps going. Then, 1980. Flooding in Ambato, Ecuador.
Flooding? What does that have to do with anything?
Unearths the bodies of several missing girls.
Oh no.
Forces the authorities to,
yeah,
finally pay attention.
Finally. But too late for those girls.
Way too late. But even then, he wasn't caught because of some big investigation. He was caught trying to abduct a girl in broad daylight in a crowded market.
Seriously, after all that, He just kept doing the same thing.
Like he was invincible, like he couldn't be caught.
A dangerous delusion.
Merchants saw him, intervened, held him for the police.
Finally.
Finally.
So what happens then? Confession. Trial.
He clams up at first.
Yeah.
Refuses to talk.
Of course.
They put him in a cell with an undercover cop, pretending to be another inmate.
López starts boasting. Confesses to over 200 murders. Just in Ecuador,
Yeah.
plus more in Peru and Colombia.
200. Just Ecuador.
He tells them how he did it. Lured them with trinkets, raped them, strangled them with his bare hands.
Oh my God. That's horrific.
Yeah.
The details.
He even talked about digging up the bodies, having tea parties with them.
Tea parties. What does that even mean?
I don't even want to think about it. It's beyond disturbing.
So what about his motives? Why? Why did he do it?
He said he lost his innocence at 8, wanted to inflict that same pain on others.
Right. Blaming his victims. Classic.
He led them to 53 bodies, confirmed at least 110 murders in Ecuador, probably more.
Oh, what was the sentence? For all of that?
16 years.
16 years. That's it. That's the maximum in Ecuador.
It's time, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
16 years for over 100 lives.
And guess what? He gets out early. Good behavior.
Good behavior. Are you kidding me?
2 years early. Deported back to Colombia in 1994.
So they just let him go? Back to where it all started.
Pretty much. Briefly detained, declared insane, sent to a mental institution.
Well, at least he's off the streets.
Not for long. 1998. Declared sane. Released on bail. $70. $70.
$70 for a serial killer.
Had to report to authorities regularly. You can probably guess what happened next.
Disappeared.
Gone. Last seen, officially, 1999. Renewing his citizenship card.
So he's still out there.
Potentially. Wanted for a 2002 murder in Colombia. Suspect in a 2012 homicide. Who knows?
That's a terrifying thought,
So, yeah, still out there. Potentially. It's unsettling.
to say the least. So many missed opportunities
Right.
to stop him.
I keep thinking about that. The systemic failures. How long he operated.
There's a pattern, isn't it? With these kinds of cases, the victims often overlooked.
Young, indigenous, impoverished. Like, their lives mattered less? Is that what it is?
It's hard to say for sure, but
Yeah.
there's a definite disparity in how these cases are handled.
It's like a double injustice. Vulnerable to predators and then ignored by the system.
Exactly. Dismissed. Forgotten.
Makes you wonder, would things have been different if the victims were different?
If they were from more affluent backgrounds.
Yeah.
More privileged.
Yeah. It's a tough question, but an important one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have to confront these uncomfortable truths
Yeah.
about how our systems work, who they protect, and who they don't.
We've talked a lot about the external factors,
Right.
the abuse, the societal
Their
failures.
context.
But what about him, inside? Is it too easy to just say evil?
It's tempting, but it
Oh.
doesn't explain anything, does
Yeah.
it? Just a label.
What's this? Nature? Nurture? Was he born this way? Or
I think it's always both, isn't it? A complex mix.
the trauma, the
Right.
abuse shaped him,
Oh, yeah.
clearly.
Trauma doesn't always equal this.
Right.
Plenty of people experience terrible things
Yeah.
and don't become
Oh.
monsters.
So there's a choice
Yeah.
somewhere in there, a decision to inflict pain.
Yeah. We can acknowledge the impact of trauma
Yeah.
without excusing the actions.
Is rehabilitation even possible for someone like him?
That's the million-dollar question.
Is there any coming back from that
That's-
kind of darkness?
Some would say no. Some would say everyone deserves a chance.
Mhm.
But even if you were caught, imprisoned again,
Could he be reintegrated? Truly atone?
I don't know. If
Yeah.
he's still out there,
Yeah.
still committing crimes, it suggests a pretty deeply ingrained pattern.
This has been a lot, this
Yeah.
deep dive. Dark stuff.
Heavy, no doubt.
But important, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about
Uh-huh.
one man. It's about the systems, the signs, the victims, the responsibility we all have.
To protect the vulnerable,
Yeah.
to speak up, to demand justice.
So, to our listener, we leave you with this. What does this case, this story tell you? About evil, about rehabilitation, about our own responsibility.
It's a lot to process, but these are conversations we need to have.
If you want to learn more, research other infamous figures, think about the factors, societal, psychological. It's complicated.
There are no easy answers.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It's been
Yeah.
intense, but hopefully, thought-provoking.
We'll be back with another deep dive soon. Until then, keep asking questions.